Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson. Here's what I see. I think this fight is going to be a bonus producing fight, regardless of how it plays out. If it's a finish, it's a finish. Performance of the night. And if it's a long fight, it's fight of the night. That's how I see this one going. I see Michael Chandler, and I'm aware that Oliveira, Gaethje, and Cowboy and Lozon in particular, those guys have more bonuses than anybody. I'm aware both those fights are on the card, but I just see this one being the most exciting on paper. This fight can go a lot of different ways. Tony Ferguson, he's on a shitty streak right now, but I think people are really overlooking him here. And to be blunt, I'll just give you my prediction at the top. I'm taking Ferguson via knockout. Simple math. I'm going to get into this fight in more detail, but my simple math for doing that, my simple reasoning or logic is Tony Ferguson's never been knocked out, essentially. He was beaten down by Justin Gaethje, and that was a knockout or a TKO, but his chin didn't fail him. He didn't go down. And Michael Chandler, he's got to shut your lights off. He's got the power to do it more than anybody in the division. So it's absolutely there's a high probability in any Michael Chandler fight. Even against a guy with an iron chin who's never been knocked out, I'll always play that prop. Michael Chandler, first round knockout, with that, which I think is plus 600 here. But Tony Ferguson, he's never been knocked out, and that's just my basis for him surviving. Where if I think Michael Chandler wins, it's most likely to be a decision. But I just see madness erupting at some point, especially on the feet. I think Tony's best chance of winning is actually a knockout, even above submission and decision. I actually think decision is more likely than submission. Tony Ferguson is one of the best submission grapplers, too. He is one of the best submission artists, I should say. But I'm not sure if he's the best grappler in the division. I think Michael Chandler is severely underrated, too. We've seen Michael Chandler submit many great fighters in Bellator. Eddie Alvarez, which is one of the most impressive probably his most impressive victory, submitting that guy in round 4 of a back-and-forth war. Eddie Alvarez had all that experience. He was the seasoned guy who, in his prime, good everywhere, and Michael Chandler got better as the fight went on, and he took over in the 4th round and got a rear naked choke, that's easily his most impressive victory. His most impressive submission is a different story, even though the Eddie Alvarez fight was a submission. His most impressive submission was over Marcin Held, also in Bellator. This is early on in Chandler's career, before the Alvarez fight, and Chandler was put into a knee bar by Marcin Held is a submission specialist, and he's a leg lock specialist in particular. Not that, he's versatile, but he knows leg locks. He's better than most. It's my cat shitting in the litter box. But Marcin Held had him in a knee bar, and Michael Chandler fought out of it and continued on and went on to tap out Marcin Held with an arm triangle choke. That's Held's only submission loss, despite having at least a dozen submission victories, probably over a dozen. Michael Chandler, that win's only gotten better with age, but he also went on to submit some really good fighters like Derek Campos and Brandon Gertz and whoever else. He's I forget who else, but he's got some really nice submissions. Some of his best wins are submissions. And Michael Chandler has never been submitted. He's never been tapped. He looks like he's going to be really tough to tap. He's got that big fucking neck. But, if there's anybody who could do it, it was Charles Oliveira. And Charles Oliveira had his back for a round, and Michael Chandler didn't give him an inch. He was playing very defensively, but still, for a guy like Oliveira to have you down in his spot, but everything's dry and whatever, and he doesn't get it, it says a lot about him. And also, every other fight, Chandler's never been tapped, even though he's been put in danger, like I said, especially that knee bar to Marcin Held. And I just think Michael Chandler is underrated. I actually think if either one of them were to submit the other one, it'd be Michael Chandler submitting Tony Ferguson. And I'd see it happening with an arm triangle choke. We've seen Tony struggle on the bottom a little bit. He's known for his guard and whatever, and triangles with Kevin Lee, etc. But yeah, well, he's really known for his darts, but he's known to have a good guard. But I think his guard is not defensively sound. It's passable. We've seen Kevin Lee, even though, like I said, he was submitted with a triangle choke. At the end of that first round, Kevin Lee passed Tony Ferguson's guard, sliced through it like butter, and got into the full mount and almost put him away. We've seen Danny Castillo put him in a lot of danger. Full mount, I think he had him really tight in an arm triangle choke. And, that guy's a great grappler, but so is Michael Chandler. The reason I'm not going that direction, I actually think Tony via knockout is the more likely outcome, is Chandler has never, he's been, I don't want to say he's been reduced to a striker, but he doesn't use his wrestling offensively, and I'm not sure he could sustain it offensively for 15 minutes even at this point. I do think he would have an easier time wrangling Tony Ferguson to the ground. Tony's got those skinny hips. I think sometimes it's just that when a guy's that skinny and whatever, I hate to reduce MMA breakdowns to someone being skinny, but Khabib Nurmagomedov said that when he was breaking down the Tony Ferguson fight, his own fight. He said, those skinny hips, I'll rip him to the mat and crawl all over him or something. And that's when it hit me. It's always going to be easier to rip a skinny guy to the floor. That's why Anderson Silva, when Anderson Silva fought Vitor Belfort, Chael Sonnen was asked, who would you rather fight out of these two? Who do you want to win? He said, I want Anderson to win. Why? Because Vitor is a bigger, stronger guy, or a thicker, stronger guy, and I don't think I could take him down as easily. But Anderson Silva is tall and skinny. I'll rip him to the mat like it's nothing. And that's what he did for 5 rounds. And he won a unanimous decision. Just go ask Chael. He'll tell you all about it. But Tony Ferguson, I do see that his ground game is, while he's known for being the most dangerous guy, a lot of that comes, with the darts, obviously, especially after he's beaten an opponent down on the feet or at least dragged him into a war, which that absolutely could happen with Michael Chandler, but I don't see Chandler being submitted by Tony Ferguson's darts choke, even in the 15th minute of a bloody war. How I see a bloody war playing out is Tony Ferguson being free to throw when he realizes Michael Chandler's not having a lot of success with takedowns anymore, and they're forced to fight on the feet, and his power's been reduced just from exertion and whatever. And now it's time to throw, and I could see Tony Ferguson clipping Michael Chandler, especially when he's tired. Tony Ferguson's a weird striker. He's got long, weird arms, and he throws long, weird hooks. And I think he would put Michael Chandler away if he catches him on the button. So that's my prediction for that fight. I'm taking Tony Ferguson via knockout. Michael Chandler, he's been knocked out a few times. Michael Chandler, he's, he's got cardio for days. You can just look at the guy and tell he's a machine. But I still think he's susceptible to getting clipped. And in a fight with Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler won't be able to contain himself. He's not going to be able to fight that top game, stuff in his guard and whatever. If he gets on top, he's going to try to pass. Now, like I said, that could produce an arm triangle, but it's also going to produce a scramble, and it's going to be exerting. It's going to tax him cardio-wise. On the feet, Michael Chandler is a powerful puncher. The most powerful in the division. He'd almost be a fool if he doesn't go for the knockout. As much as he tries to contain himself. I don't know, some guys, I think they get caught up in that. You lose a fight. A guy, especially a big cannon, loses a fight after, due to cardio issues or whatever, and right away they got to try to mitigate that. Okay, we'll get better in the gym, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, just get behind that jab and whatever. And then at the end of their careers, they might look back and say, I was probably better off just going for the first round knockout every fight. Every single fight. That's how I feel about Overeem, Vitor Belfort, Melvin Manhoef, whoever. They're just some beasts in the sport where they produce enough first-round knockouts and you say to yourself, that's your best avenue. It really is. As opposed to losing some of your best traits by trying to become more well-rounded. You should play into that, lean into that. And I think Michael Chandler knows that. And he's a guy who, I talked about him not being able to contain himself. If he hurts anybody, he's going for it. And I do think he's going to hurt Tony Ferguson. Not like he hurt Oliveira, where he's cleanly dropped or whatever, but I know he's going to tag Tony Ferguson. And, He won't be able to contain himself. This fight will degenerate into a war, which is going to be fucking awesome. It might take a round to do so, but it will happen. And I'm thinking Tony gets a knockout. Tony via round 3 knockout. That's my prediction.